They may run into a problem with usage, you have sales tax and usage tax dealing with how you use equipment that's not involved in the actual manufacturing process, particularly if it's out-of-state equipment, things like that, where the state can tax that. So they might get, let's say, a lump sum of $100,000, lump sum $200,000, but they might find out that their usage taxes that they have to pay as an owner could be astronomical.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm sure they're not told that, and I doubt there's a provision in those contracts that says that the company's going to pay that. So I'm trying to attack it in every way we can. We have civil rights again that flows out of our state constitution, as well as I'm working on a toxic coal trespass ordinance, which would criminalize the contamination of adjacent parcels of property. And these are very complex constitutional issues, but one, I want to try to bootstrap it so the offense, you have new counts maybe every week that it's contaminated, they don't stop. Plus I want to go after the corporate executives so they can't hide behind it. You know, if I can 10 counties together, 6 seats at 60 over 4 or 5 years in prison. That's okay with me.
How long do you
Criminalizing pollution? What a concept.
Yeah. All these issues are new, novel issues that have never been raised by any community in the United States. So that's my goal, to create new issues. Because it's not an issue just fracking, not just an issue of injection wells. It's an issue, the type of democracy that we want. We want a democracy that says that companies with powerful billions of dollars can engage local communities in experiments at the expense of the safety of people. We don't want that. It's a legitimate industry. It's at the cutting edge of technology, so we're not going to demonize it, but we're going to say that the technology is not there, the regulation is not there, the safety isn't there, and we have a right to defend ourselves by exercising our inalienable right to safety. And in reality, I want to create new issues so that they can't feel comfortable to follow the traditional lines that we got to do high Supreme Court, and they could say, well, we're going to win. I want them to say, we don't know what's going to happen. And so as long as we have the financial support for the city and the county and other communities, and then also activist groups, we're able to fight that. I'm willing to do it, I'm willing to do it, and we'll do it with dignity, but if they think anybody's going to turn away from this, it's not going to happen. I truly do. I love Mansfield, I love Richland County, and I don't believe that we are any ordinary people. And I still believe in this country, the strength of people, the voice of the people. I still believe that always will. It is truly the greatest country in the world. But unless we participate and are active in a democracy, our voice will not be heard.
What can we do for private landowners who are going to well drilling or to
I think you could tell them they may end up paying hundreds of thousands of dollars in usage taxes with the state of Ohio. I just attended a seminar dealing with property taxes, and it was put on by the most respected law firm in Ohio that represents school districts everywhere. And so as they were going across this case that said, a court had said if you have an above-ground storage units on your land, that the state has the right to value that land not on a comparative cost or sale basis, and not on a cost basis, but by the stream of income basis. So I said, well, let's take an example. Let's take an example that instead of it being an above-ground, above-terrain storage area, it's an underground storage area. And my argument to the Supreme Court would be that it's a stream of income evaluation for injection wells. And they stood back and said, that's unbelievable. They said it's never been done before, it's never been argued before, because injection wells are new.
Correct.
So I said, well, how about some calculations, $16,000 a day. Let's say 4 employees, that's $30,000 each, 10% How do you value that? They use their calculator. They said, well, that per-person would be worth $5.6 million. I said, what would the taxes be? They said $1.35 million a year. I said, well, thank you very much.
That's the living daylights out. I like that idea.
Very much.
So, anyways, I appreciate everything, and
Thank you.
your help's very appreciated, and you continue to educate everyone. I think it's the single most important issue that me and Fort Richland County's ever faced. And those Huns are coming from the east, I can tell you that, because I'm in contact with them every week.
So what's coming from these?
Well,
The Huns.
millions.
The Huns!
Well, some call them the locusts. So, in either event, they're
Well,
coming.
they're coming from the southwest.
So, and they're starting to send after ministers of propaganda and speakers and things like that to distort the truth. Sometimes they use what I call a McCarthyistic tactic, where you spiel out 10 lies. You only give the other side an opportunity to reject 5, leaving the inference that the 5 other statements are true. But we're going to proceed with dignity, but with determination, and we're just going to do everything we can do. You know, who knows what will happen, but I know our voice will be heard in every way.
Hitler always
and
said
I
if you
said
told
this,
the lie often enough, they believe it. That's
it's
what
not that we
gotta
demonize the other side. It's a legitimate industry. The problem is that the technology has not achieved the level of preserved safety. The technology could be there that you could have fracking or injection wells, which creates jobs, preserves the water, does not cause induced seismicity and other kinds of things, then it's a win-win-win. We are not going to be at the bad end of the bad experiment at the expense of people with no margin for error. Yes.
Why can't City of Mansfield make a preemptive strike and sue the state of Ohio for granting the defense against the will of the people?
Well, it can't be done because one is the state of Ohio, just like the county. Like city governments has qualified immunity. There'd have to be a sort of a malicious recklessness involved. But we don't want to do that because legally we would fail. Secondly, the end result is that it's sort of like my father, who was 93 years old, he taught my brother and I, you could have a sort of an enemy at one point in time, in whether it's politics or whatever it may be, but you don't demonize them, you don't cut off all conversation, because the next thing you know, so we do have, I think, legislators should more informed in terms of what needs to be done to protect people. I'm fine.
We are the people, though. You know,
Turn them to be on our side.
can our voice go the other way? Ask them,
No, it can't.
hey, we're starving to death here. Where will you believe in the kill? I believe in inspection
And I believe that
100%.
the legislators start to hear the voices of the people and become informed. Gradually, things will change. It will take years. The end result is part of a political resolution, part of a legislative resolution, but it requires the voice of the people and community.
Writing.
I mean, if you look back historically, to all aspects of even before the EPA existed, there was resistance, there wasn't an understanding of ecological interrelationship.
No, you're fine.
Oh, no. Gradually, through the years,
You won't.
so, I guess we set our country apart from many other countries. We're not given to sort of extreme resolutions. An engine gets started, goes slowly, and then it starts really rolling. But I'm not waiting on the federal government, and I'm not waiting on the state. We're going to pass our own legislation.
What's your advice when we go to these forums that are industry stacked and you can tell they're lying? What's your advice when we go to them?
Well, like that one forum I went to where you couldn't even respond to inaccuracies that were given out. I think that very sound questions that are very simple. One with sometimes the greatest truth and the greatest demonstration of a truth is a simple question. Like when they talk about how safe it is, it's in our food, it's in this and then that. Questions, would you drink it? Yes or no, would you drink it? And the questions like, for example, let me think of another example. you don't give them any wiggle room. It's like being
Put
a
it
trial
in your
lawyer.
yard.
If I'm cross-examining somebody,
Are you signing up and putting a well in your yard?
well, there's no injection wells of Benson County. There might be one, but
That
I
was a
think
good
it's probably
question at that one forum.
dripping something, but
It's not next to Mr. Kasich's house in Westerville.
well, does the question is, does the process of injection wells increase the risk of induced seismicity? Yes or no? Yes or no? They're going to come back and say, well, there's nothing proven,
Yeah,
there's nothing this, nothing that. We know that's not the truth. So we winnow out the truth under the crucible, like in our judicial system. The truth of the matter is winnowed out through the crucible of trial through an adversary proceeding. I would welcome a debate. Any of them want a debate, I'm ready, willing to do it. And I'm not an expert at it. I might have some experts behind the curtains, but I guarantee it, we have the right questions and we know what the answers are.
Certainly have gathered a lot of silver bullets, Director Spon, and we
Silver
certainly
bullets, that's what it
appreciate
is.
it.
We're going to circle the wagons, tighten the noose, create new legal issues, and go from there. And we'll just see what we can do. Your efforts, really, on behalf of the citizens, it's really important because when we're talking with Environmental Council out in the state of Washington, he was talking about we have a common belief that it requires a movement, a grassroots movement. That's what impacts the legislators. Most, probably only 1% of the population really know what the issues are. So, one issue, we don't want to create too much paranoia, but we want people to know it could contaminate the water, it could cause seismic activity. At the same time, just sharing the parents about it increasing the risk of seismicity and earthquakes. We know this for a fact.
Water can be contaminated, and has been.
When I talk to the hydrophysicists about what causes it, and this is for general information to be able to explain it, in a simple way. If you put lubricants and chemicals in the wells to enhance the efficiency of the drilling, then those lubricants seep into the fractures and other areas. Now, you also have the sheer weight, thousands of millions of tons of water, sand, and chemicals and everything else. You add all of that weight. Then if they go too deep, they hit the rock, bedrock, which is maybe granite, and they shatter it, then you're going to cause some type of displacement.
Common sense.
It's common sense.
Common sense. And they try to obfuscate it by having their expertise, and they constantly say that, but it's common sense. And if they're such experts, I say, why didn't they predict the earthquakes in Youngstown?
Well,
now,
it's
they're not
true.
experts. They're all learning all the time.
Well, I know this, that like any movement, it starts with local groundswell. Just like if you take, let's say, the women's movement for equality of rights, it started with different groups. So there are people who didn't realize the discrimination, inequality that existed, and gradually, through that struggle, it has created such a lesson for not only our own country, but for countries throughout the world. And so it requires that. And my fiance's here, and if I learned anything about equal rights, I better listen to what she has to say.
The other thing is, as you're talking to your friends and your neighbors about this, if your water's polluted, your property investment is drastically reduced.
Yeah.
And the value of our property needs to be protected just as much as the value of their property, and the reduction in the value of our property should not come at the gain of theirs. And that's where this really hits home. They are destroying the property values in addition to the water supply of 125,000 people in Richland County. And I don't care what they say about their little $3 million bond. Number one, they will fight you tooth and nail to say that it wasn't their fault, and you will never see penny one of that $3 million. Plus, $3 million will not fix a polluted aquifer. Once it's broke, you can't fix it.
That's why there's no margin there. And also, if we started to experience seismic activity, nobody knows how that may compromise the foundation of a home. Once you break that, there's you know, macro or micro bonding of concrete, or let alone our infrastructure, our sewage, whatever it may be.
Did you catch at the mayor's forum how they tried to, Jeff Daniels tried to minimize the earthquake threat by saying they're felt and not felt earthquakes? Well, those earthquakes in Youngstown caused damage to foundations and to buildings.
No, they
and
did.
they didn't want to admit to that, really, at that forum.
Well, they're not going to admit to it because their motive is profit. And we're saying they may have a right to make a profit, but they cannot make profit at the risk of compromising safety. And plus, if you own a home, let's say we started to experience seismic activity.
Yeah.
Now, if you were to sell a home to somebody else, are you required under the disclosure of a seller to disclose to them, oh, by the way, we do have some seismic earthquake activity here. Don't worry about it. We're leaving. We want you to buy our home. So, well, in either event, I thank you very much for coming in.
Thank you.
And,
Thanks for your support.
we have so many things with the city. I mean, it's just not this issue, but we have a wonderful city, a wonderful county. Really, it's a wonderful.
We're going to make it better and better.
And we're going to make it better.
We thank you for your hard work and your support.
Well, Cindy, she's always
Good.
She's like that battery that keeps going. You know what I'm saying? She should be in office.
Sir?
Very
She
much
will
so.
be someday.
I hope
might
so.
try again.
I didn't get to hear your comment. I was over across the street. In a nutshell, what's the prospect of beating these guys here?
Well, the prospect is that I believe that we're going to raise new issues, new legal issues that have never been raised before. I have confidence in our country, in our government. I have confidence in them. And what will happen is eventually there'll be adequate safeguards for people, for safe water. I can see it's already spreading because there are more legislators that are thinking about promulgating appropriate regulations.
I just assumed they didn't do it at all. You can have so much safety, but that's just no guarantees with it.
No, but life isn't perfect. You know, when we explore space and other kinds of things, there's risk of debris falling.
If Pennsylvania doesn't want it, why should we want it?
Well, you're exactly right. I think they should dump it where they took it.
You betcha.
And let them contend with it.
You betcha.